Only thing I would say is, man, I was talking to a 70-year-old yesterday in counseling, and he's been married for 50 years. Wow. And the one thing he told me, which kind of brought me to tears driving home, I called Vic and told me, just treasure your wife. Above all things, the Lord is your Lord and Savior, but treasure your wife. And that has just been resounding in my heart and in my mind. So that's going to be my takeaway. And that's what I, hope to give to people, when the times are hard, times are rough, treasure your wife.
Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Rod.
And this is Kai.
And welcome to Married in the Middle. We have been married for 18 years. We have 4 amazing kids and a dog named Appa.
This podcast is about helping marriages flourish through the challenges of the middle years.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Rod.
I'm Kai.
And welcome to
Married in the Middle.
Man, we are so honored. We have some special guests with us today.
Special guests today.
We have Mr. Ashton and Miss Vicky Horn. They are getting ready to share with us, and we're so excited. And we're going to jump right into this episode. We want to encourage you. Just trust me, it's going to be a good one. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Let's get this content out. So, first of all,
very colorful episode. We're probably going to laugh a lot.
Yeah.
They're a little cuckoo, so I'm excited.
Awesome. Well, can you guys just introduce yourself, share who you are with the audience?
My name is Vicky.
Dr. Vicky Horn.
My name is Dr. Vicky Horn. I am of Haitian descent. I am a nurse. I am a mother of 3, an angel and 2 live babies, and I am married to this gentleman.
My name is Ashton Horn. I'm 32 years old. I'm Black and Cuban. I'm currently in the profession of law enforcement. I love baking. I love dogs, and I'm excited to be here.
Bro, you Cuban?
Yes.
Okay, this is we've known them for years.
Come on. Hey,
well, that explains a lot, but I didn't know.
All right.
So, guys, listen, we got some kids here.
Cuban?
Yes, you didn't know that?
My father's name is Joe Torres.
What?
Sorry.
Are you serious?
I'm so serious.
Why are we only now finding this out?
Listen.
That's just half Cuban.
Wow.
This I did not know. Quick disclaimer, we have kids here.
We got dogs.
They may just pop up. We have dogs here. It's going to be a loud episode, fun family episode.
But
here.
man, so your dad is half Cuban.
No, my dad is full Cuban.
What?
Yes.
Yeah, we're shocked because we've known them
20 years, something like that.
We've known them for what, 15
But he
years,
always had the ways, though. He always had them dogs barking. Now it's all coming together.
That makes sense.
Damn. Wow, man.
Oh
That's
Well,
dope.
I do brush my hair, so I don't want you guys to take anything.
But you always
from
don't.
that.
I brush my hair, too. It just look like this. You know?
Stop.
Man, that's awesome. Well, listen, man. We've known y'all for 20 years. We've gotten a chance to see your story. We've gotten a chance to see how you guys grow. And you guys are a model for other marriages to look at and to emulate. I'm just so glad on how God has used you. It's an honor to have y'all here again. Tell us how y'all met.
I'm going to let her take the wheel.
Uh-oh.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so we always have a discrepancy in this area, but originally we met in college. We had 2 friends at the time who were dating, Josh and Michelle, and they kind of gotten to the point where they were talking, and we're away at college, so Michelle's like, okay, well, I want him to meet you guys. And I guess from what he says, Josh said, I'm not going alone, so he brings Ashton as backup to meet her. It was 4 of us living together, and that was the very first time we met.
And Vicky was a monster.
I was mean.
She was mean. She talked about my tattoos. I'm not going to get a job because
Do you
of my
think that's
tattoos.
because she secretly liked you?
I think she wanted
She was
me.
crushing on
No,
you?
that was the
She
first
wanted
time
me.
I seen this man. I'm mean to... I'm the pit in my friend group, so I'm mean to anybody that they bring. So I was mean to him. I will admit that.
And I wanted her.
The truth comes out.
Finally comes out from day one.
From day one.
But you guys were friends after that for a long time.
we built a great friendship after that. We had potlucks. We talked all the time. She was very funny, and she used to have that blowout with the little highlights. That's what got me.
Is that pre-natural hair days?
Yes, that was pre-natural.
Man, you remember pre-natural hair days?
Yeah. It's expensive.
Rod, don't start.
Used to lay that thing
start.
down.
Don't
Things
start.
He's gonna try to get us in trouble.
Don't start.
There are days that were pre-natural.
There
Oh,
are.
goodness.
We were both in relationships with other people.
Yeah.
So
And I think that kind of kept us at bay, or at least me. I can only speak for myself, but yeah, I knew it became to a point where it got inappropriate for me per se. Like I had a girlfriend, but I was more so talking to Vicky. Like she was like my homeboy, and I was just divulging stuff I shouldn't be divulging. Like I wasn't giving that information to my girlfriend, but I was giving it to Vicky, and I just felt of comfort, a safe haven when I spoke with her. And it stayed like that for a while, and it grew to something beautiful.
and I was very naive. I was extremely naive. I just thought, oh, okay, well, we're all friends. Like your friend is dating my friend. We should be helping each other get through this, right? So at the time, I didn't see anything inappropriate with it. So that I think allowed it cultivated the inappropriateness in the sense. And then at church, somebody came up to me and said, have you ever considered him as more than just a friend? Mercy's family.
And that's when she began to try to run from it.
Just
The girl and the boy.
That it was not us who name dropped.
That's not.
It was not you guys. And then I was like, no, that's just my friend. And the girl was like, okay, you still playing games. I'll come back another time.
Wow.
And then I think that's when I started to look at him differently. And then, but again, I was still in a relationship. So I was kind of like, this is weird. And then
I would say from there, I mean, just serving in church, doing life group, like serving with her. And I don't think it was nothing that, even with you guys, that you guys thought would happen that way. But as I began to serve with Vicky and do certain things with her, like the love just began to grow inside me. Like it was hard for me not to flirt or try to do like, hey, how you doing? Yeah. When I know what I was trying to do, but she wasn't minding it, like she was oblivious, like her blinders was up. But I was like, she knows what she's doing.
I think it became obvious because there was chemistry.
There was
between
chemistry,
you two.
yeah.
But there was also ministry chemistry that I think we saw as leaders, like, man, like they do well together.
Yeah.
And
Just to give a little background for those outside of our church family, we've known them since, like they said, they were college students. Rodney and I used to do a Bible study on campus at Florida Atlantic University, and so they were the students. They were students on campus. And that's how we initially met them. So after they graduated, they were both actually a part of our launch team for our church, Gospel Fellowship, which Rodney's the lead pastor of. And so they were a part of that crazy crew that said, we'll plan a church with you. And this is where we begin to see that not only did they have friendship chemistry, but that they had that ministry chemistry. And we saw some potential there.
What happened from there? I think, again, the relationship I was in ended. His friends started dropping hints. When I say I was very naive, and to this day I'm a bit naive when it comes to like romantic relationships. But his friends started dropping hints on like, okay, Vicky, like there's somebody who likes you. Do you know who it is? And then it started to click, and from there, oh my God.
Oh, I'm so glad that this happened. I'm so glad it happened. I'm so glad it happened.
Rodney, don't pick her up by her head.
It's so organic.
By Appa. The funniest part was Appa's face. She was so excited to finally break out of
Just
that
so
room.
I know, my wife does not like dogs.
No, she does not.
I love dogs. It's okay. She's still alive.
Oh my gosh.
It's okay. It's
Okay.
okay. But yeah, I think from the ministry standpoint,
They're gonna have to cut that out anyway, and you keep going.
Maybe.
Okay.
From a ministry standpoint, I think another thing that stuck out, like my mom wasn't in a good place. she's been sick for a good amount of time. And I remember it just like it was yesterday. We went there as a life group, and we was just singing a song, worshiping, and I was praying, and everyone was praying, and I opened my eyes, and Vicky was behind my mom, just scratching her back. And at that moment, that's when I really knew, like, I needed to be with her, and that's who I wanted to be with.
Wow.
And that sealed it for me.
So background, I'm a nurse, so I didn't think, it wasn't like me trying to, whatever. At the time, I was already in my profession. I just figured that was the patient. That's who we came to see. There should be some type of...
It was natural for you.
Yeah, it was some type of interaction with her. So,
And for me, it was more intimate, being that, I'm from a single mother home, and, like, she showed that motherly love to my mother. So for me, I felt a more deeper connection to it than it just being, everybody was scratching your mom back. Everybody was there, keeping her comfortable and trying to show her love. It meant so much more to me when I seen her doing it.
She was pulling on some heartstrings there.
That's what she was doing.
that was all the Lord.
Oh,
Lord,
I didn't
It was
know.
because she was a nurse.
I didn't know. She knew exactly what she was doing.
She knew what she was doing.
She knew what she was doing.
Oh, goodness. I think that's a beautiful story. It's a fun story to look back on. And we got to take a back seat and just kind of watch everything develop. And it's been beautiful. And since then, you guys have had babies and careers and gone back to school. I think one of the reasons we wanted to bring you guys on is because of all of the different dynamics of your life. Rodney and I have a lot of different dynamics and a lot of moving pieces as well. And at times, I think people think that we're a little bit nuts, but some families run really hard and have a lot going on, and they're able to navigate that life. Whereas some others, to each their own, one is not better or one is not worse. It's just different. But for those families out there who do have a lot going on, we thought it would be beautiful for you guys to come and tell your story. So tell us a little bit about the dynamics of your life now. You're an officer, you're a professor. Tell us a little bit about all of that with kids and stuff.
Okay, so we got married. I was nursing. He was in law enforcement. Somewhere in there, Ashton started to express the desire to go back to school, but stated we didn't have the funds. And just to be quite honest, after our first kid, we were financially in a very tight spot. So Ashton was like, this is not smart. This is not smart. Anybody who owns homes know that, like, after your homestead goes in the year after, you kind of get a refund on your taxes. We got that refund. I was like, look at Jesus sending you money to get a laptop. So
a laptop, yeah,
because he needed a laptop at the time. So we took that. He enrolled in school. I knew I was going back to school, but I knew that if I went back to school first, he would not go back to school. So
that's
100%.
good. So you sacrifice that that time and your desires for the sake of the marriage. I feel like some people could, like, some women may feel, why would you do that? Like, why would you put your own desires to the side for him? Can you speak a little bit about?
Just knowing Ashton's personality, Ashton's going to sacrifice for the good of the family, but it was something that he wanted to do. I knew that he had the desire to do. And I knew that if I just took a back seat for a little bit, I can jump back in. So I felt like at the time that's what was necessary. So prior to that, Ashton had just given so much of his life. I mean, and that's what you should do. It's not like I'm saying, oh, he did this, so I should do this. But marriage is about ebbs and flows, right? So at the time, it was something he wanted to do, and he wasn't doing it because he felt like it would put the family in a financial strain. So I felt like, okay, in my mind, I'm like, I'm going back regardless. Let me get Ashton to the point where he feels comfortable to go back. And then, so he enrolled in school. He started school. The next semester, I applied. And I was like, I went in, and Ashton was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I already secured all of my financial aid. Don't worry about me. And then I started my PhD program, and Ashton started his master's in mental health counseling program.
In 2018, I'm still in this program. So I think what's beautiful about that, I don't want to finish school. And Vicky has truly pushed me to be a better man, pushed me to be a better husband, a better coworker, by telling me to pursue education, just to get a better idea of who I am and what I want to become. And I think her taking the back seat to do that, to push me forward, was just like I said, making me better. And she continues to do that. And she said something about a PhD program, but I'm not doing that. So
that was my program. And then in that, we were both in school. We had another baby, which is our baby. We skipped a lot of years in the middle of all this, just so you know. But this is our baby. And then at that point, Ashton was like, okay, we have too much going on. We need to stop. And I was like, no, we're just going to keep going. So I started my program pregnant. And by the grace of God, I was just like, okay, well, what are they going to do? Kick me out because I'm pregnant? That's illegal. So I just kept going. I just kept going, and I just knew that they had to work with me. And I don't know.
It was tough.
It
was
hard.
Very tough.
It was hard.
Like I said, some days it felt like she wasn't there with her program because I know she had to focus and do certain things. So I don't want people to think just because you're pushing somebody to go PhD, PhD, right? Mm-hmm. Pushing somebody to get school and go do their things. There's going to be sacrifice made on each end.
Yeah.
Whether she's spending time with that's time away from me or time away from the girls. Mm-hmm. Is it going to be food in the house? Are we doing ramen tonight?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like it was a lot of stuff that was going and being neglected. Not intentionally, but because of the program. So it was beautiful that it happened, but there was some adversity. There was some boundaries. There were some obstacles in the midst of all that you had to navigate. So for those that do want to go in that program, just know it's a beautiful thing, but you got to be willing to have the ambition to keep going and keep pushing through it. That's night of not being able to worship. Mm-hmm. That's huge. Yeah. I need to worship.
Worship is married people time for people who ain't picking up.
Oh, they know what I'm talking about. It was those nights. It was nights where we wasn't checking in with each other, you know. And like I said, with marriage, love changes with the season. So, was I fulfilling her love language during that time? Was she fulfilling my love language during that time? A lot of the stuff got pushed to the side because of just the busyness of going and going and going. We wasn't getting true rest. How was that playing on our mental health? We wasn't taking care of ourselves. And then not talking about doing stuff for the girls or doing stuff with ministry or just the regular stuff around the house. Like it was a complete mess. But by pushing through it together, we were able to overcome.
And how was that? Like, how did you, with everything kind of being pushed to the side for the sake of this goal that that you guys are pressing through together? How did you guys get through that without being bitter or there are a lot of people that want married couples that once someone starts an intense program, some marriages actually don't make it past those programs. How did you guys do that? Because there's a lot of, as a mother, there's mom guilt, when you can't do things for your kids because you have to sacrifice that time to finish school. Or how did you guys get through that?
So, okay, let's talk about some practical things. We agreed to get somebody to come in and clean the house. That was just, it was not working. Like, Ashton is a stickler. The house was dirty. The house is dirty. The house is dirty. Okay, well, I'm not going to go to work full time, come home, take care of the kids, make sure their hair is washed, make sure that they have all the supplies they need for this project, this field trip, sign all this paperwork, but and then turn around and start washing dishes. That's just not going to happen. Right. So we agreed that we got somebody to come in and clean our home. Another thing that we agreed on was Ashton has his sticklers, so the girls have to, like, their hair has to be done. Like, okay, we may be busy, but our children cannot be neglected. They can't look as if they don't have a home. So I knew that I had to put that into the schedule. So Ashton would take down their hair on Fridays.
Wait a minute, Ashton would take down their hair.
She's trying to plug.
What she said?
No, this is important. Right? Everybody know that takedown ministry. Everybody know that ministry like that. Ashton knows some other stuff. So
I think that is unique. That's beautiful. So you guys worked together in that fashion that you would take it down. I mean, it was you who were more particular about their hair than Vicky was. Mm-hmm. So I
wasn't always willing, if we're being honest too. I complained when I did it.
Ashton would send me pictures at work and be like, "Look at my baby hair."
Oh no!
Look at my baby hair, and I'm like, okay.
He's just providing evidence. That's all.
I was like,
Is it evidence?
She too. Like, where is she going? She's home with you. But no, there practically Ashton was really good about like, okay, we're gonna wake up at 4:00 in the morning. We both gonna do our homework together because we have not interacted with each other. So he would set an alarm, wake up at 4. I got up at 4, and we sat next to each other and we did our homework. And the beauty, I think, in that is we didn't just click at the thing. We shared ideas on our papers. Okay, I'm writing about this. What do you think? Okay, I'm writing about this. What do you think? So that we became invested in each other's work.
Yeah.
Sometimes after everybody went to sleep and married people time occurred, I would get up and then cook while I'm doing my work. That way, while the chicken is baking or whatever, it would force me to stay awake. And then there would be a hot meal when everybody woke up, and then I had to sacrifice sleep on some ends, right?
Can I say something to that? I love the order that you put. You're like, once married people things occur, then all those other activities happen. That's amazing. I think that's so important for people listening. No, seriously. Then she's saying after that, if she's going to have to wake up early, so then I'm tired. You didn't let the 2 words "I'm tired" hinder you,
Right.
from all that needs to be done.
Yeah. So there would if we ate out a couple of times a week, and Ashton's like, and he wouldn't say it directly, but you know when you start feeling that like, okay, well, what we eating tonight, like, and I was like, okay, so then I just got to do this. I knew what I signed up for, and I knew that this was a sacrifice that I chose to make, and I had these children. I wanted my family, so if that meant that day I didn't get as much sleep, because I probably go to sleep at 4, wake up at 7, get the kids ready for school. But if I woke up at 7 to get the kids ready, Ashton woke up at 7 to help me get the kids ready because he knew that I stayed up that night before. There were some Saturdays where Ashton was like, okay, we haven't talked in a week. We're having breakfast together. And breakfast happened at 4 a.m. Before the kids woke up, Ashton would cook the breakfast, and I would sit, and there was not I'm not hungry. No, I sat there and I ate that food.
Yeah. What we talking about? Wow. Got her bonnet on. Oh man.
Yeah. So it was very intentional pieces. So Ashton worked a night shift. And when Ashton came home, I woke up. So if Ashton comes home at 4:00 in the morning, 4:00, and we're saying 4 because that was that number was trending in our house
I hear 4 a lot.
4 a.m. was our mark. If he came home at midnight, I woke up. If he came home at 4, I woke up. So it was that, how was your day? How was work? Oh, it was straight. Even if it was for 10 minutes, just to be present. So we had to. Did that happen every single day? No. But did that happen at least once every 2 weeks? Yes.
I think another important thing, too, is that we set out realistic goals before pursuing everything. And we list the stuff that, could possibly happen during these times. We wasn't going out. There was no date nights. There was no movies. Only thing I told Vicky, I better be able to get my hair cut because we wasn't spending no money.
Yes.
And it was really tough. But, going through it now and looking back, it's like it was worth it.
It was worth it.
When it's saying trust the process, all things good come with hard work. Like you can really see that. Like when I look at her now, I can see the accomplishments she's done. Like I can look at my daughter. Your mom has a PhD. Your mom's a doctor. Your mom's a nurse. Your mom's done this. Your mom's done that. Like I couldn't say that growing up, and I didn't see that in my household. So a lot of stuff that we were doing is all new to me. In every aspect, every facet of my life. So yes, it was hard, but now my kids can say that about us.
Yeah. So. I think what's important that you guys are saying is that you mapped it out. You counted up the costs before you did it. And there was a lot of self-sacrifice. So you would sacrifice sleep, you would sacrifice buying other things. And I think that, this isn't everyone's story. Right. Not everyone is going to go back to school. Not everyone is, everyone has different goals. But I think what's important is that you have to count up the costs. If you know that that's not who you are, Don't look at other marriages and say, well, if this is what Vicky and Ashton did, I'm going to do that too. When you know that you can't wake up earlier than 10 o'clock, or if you know that, every week I need to buy a pair of shoes, or I need to do this, or I don't want to sacrifice our date nights. You have to live in your own reality. This was their reality. This was their goals. And I think what's beautiful is how they're showing you every piece, because someone can look at them and say, wow, you're about to graduate your master's. She got her PhD, and see the results and say, well, maybe that's what I want to do. But it was a process, and it's a process that you guys were both committed to, and you were a team throughout that process.
Let me say that halfway through. Now, I did my PhD rather quickly. I did it in 3.5 years, right? About halfway through that, Ashton was like, he's stopping school because he couldn't do it. And I think at that point is when all of this stuff was implemented. It didn't start off the bat. I think off the bat.
That's Caitlin. I got like 3 Fs. And that's all I was.
Oh, yeah. So then we really had to recalibrate about halfway through, because we were struggling hard, and to hear that he was gonna stop, at that point I had to figure out what was more important, right? Because if this is a goal that he wanted, Ashton wants to do this, and this is a goal that I wanted, am I willing to sacrifice for the greater good? So that's kind of where we started, like, okay, we had to recalibrate. We were dealing with, as he mentioned, a bit of grief and processing depression and things like that. So I'm big, like, if I start, I must finish. And Ashton knows that. If you start, you must finish. There's no keep going. You don't need to stop. Just take one class. Like, you don't need to stop. And that meant that I had to step up, right? So I had to make sure that the cleaning lady was there. I had to make sure the meals are. I had to give him what he was missing. So that did occur. It wasn't, I wouldn't say a straight shot.
So I think that's a powerful, just a powerful testimony of how you guys pressed your way through that as a team, as a unit, and that it wasn't perfect, and and you kind of adjusted along the way, and both of you made sacrifices. I think it's a beautiful testimony, and to see you guys now, it's just amazing to see. There was a couple of times where you guys mentioned that you had some grief. Ashton, you mentioned the name Caitlin. Can you share a little bit about that experience in your life with your daughter Caitlin?
So before going back to school, our second daughter was a stillbirth, and part of me going back to school was thinking that I would do my dissertation on loss and maternal disparity in America. And I think now looking back, that was not a well thought out plan, because in the middle of school, we had to deal with grief and grieving, and the fact that Ashton really did not grieve. After we lost her and we buried her, I'm just gonna share this because we were so broke at this time. They were giving us like a discount burial, and her name plaque cost $150, and we didn't have that to get our daughter like a name plaque. Ashton went to work. Thank you, baby. Ashton went to work, kept all our bills afloat, and then to do that, he just put all his feelings aside, right? And I don't think he did it well, because like I would still hear him crying in the shower, but there was nothing I can do. I was just like grief stricken. I was taking my Percocet because my uterus was contracting. Yeah. I was just in another world. And then when we got back into school, we got the name plaque, we got things kind of settled down in my mind, Ashton started to grieve.
Yeah. I think that was a good illustration of it. And, growing up, you're taught to be a rock, water can go around you, go over you, but nothing can go through you. Yeah. My culture, they didn't teach us about grief. They didn't teach us about processing. We go to a funeral, we go have to a barbecue. That's it. No one talks about anything. So when we lost our daughter, me going back to work, I was self-isolating. I was depressed. And one of the biggest things that I did is that I fell back into a sin that I didn't want to go back to. I fell back to porn. And porn was my comfort. I didn't want to talk to people. I didn't want to have sex. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to go to work and go to porn. And I'm here to say today, like, it's okay to be broken, but you need to talk.
Right.
And I think culture has really broken society down, broken men down to the point where expressing themselves make them weak. And I found so much relief when I was able to really express how I felt. The guilt that I felt, the things that I was saying out of my mouth, the power of the tongue, you know, oh, we don't need a baby right now. We need to go travel. We need to do this. We can't afford it. Oh, we should have this baby, praying for stuff. And then when we actually had the baby and it was a stillborn, I ate everything I said. And I didn't want to say that to anyone.
Yeah. That was right.
The nights crying in the shower, I was embarrassed. I felt like I was doing something wrong, like I was breaking the law. That's how I felt inside. Like when I was crying, and Vicky knew Vicky would come in, and I try my best to hold it in. There was nights when I was on calls at work where, you know, there was a dead baby or, you know, a baby drowning. And, you know, I'll look at some of my coworkers and say, I can't go to this call. But I didn't want to look weak in front of other men. So I would go to those calls regardless of how I was still feeling inside. And I would cry in my car.
You were
in the
just
garage
triggered over
and keep going and keep going and keep going. So I thank God that I went through the process of understanding grief, understanding, you know, what was going on with me, because I could truly say today now, like, I don't believe that time heals everything. You know, time is just an aspect where you can learn how to cope. You're going to have your good days. You're going to have your bad days. You just got to learn how to get with it. So
Ashton, what was the turning point in you making a turn towards, you're talking about how, just how hard that was for you. You were isolating and holding everything in. What was the turning point when you started opening up?
So I had took one class. It was an instructor. We had did a Zoom call, and she just heard the crackle in my voice. Said, hey, is everything okay? And I don't know this lady from a grain of salt. And I just felt like, you know what, let me just say how I really feel.
Place,
And I just blurted everything out, and she was like, I'm no therapist, but maybe you need to talk to someone. And then so I started opening up to Vicky. We started having conversations and talking, and then Vicky started pushing me more to explore my feelings and what I was going through. And as I started to do that, I seen our relationship started to get back to what it was, because Vicky was distant too. She was doing her own grieving as well. I didn't know about pregnancy. I didn't know the risks of Black women, you know, a chance that she could have died, you know. That was a conversation that I had, if this baby or Vicky. You know, we had to have that at the hospital at the time when they was giving birth. So I was just like, you know, it was a lot going on. And then they dropped the bomb that, you know, in Florida after 6 months, the baby has to be buried. So now we 30 what?
Oh, no,
29, 28 years old.
Something
now you have
like
to bury
that.
your kid. So like, we may be young, but our eyes are aged with the experience. So just the turning point was just that teacher allowing me to speak, allowing me to voice myself with unbiased judgment, you know, and then just encouraging me, maybe you need to speak with your wife. And then I went to Vicky, and from Vicky, I started to seek other people and then talk to people about what was going on.
How did your faith play a role? You guys talked about a lot. You summarized many years in a short time. How did your faith play a part of getting you guys through some tough times in your marriage?
I don't know if saying angry at God or just trying to understand. I was trying to understand. Like, God, it's me. Like, it's me. Right? I don't know who I thought I was at the time, but it's me. And I kind of just got to the resolve that when I look back over my life, I didn't think I would get married, you know, and I think we're in a happy marriage, right? I saw myself with one kid because I've had an abortion before, right? So I didn't think I could have kids because my grandma only had one child, my mother only has one child. I thought I had my one child, and I didn't have that child. So then I was like, okay, well, I can't have kids. Not only do I have a kid, now I have more than one child. I remember at a point where financially in college, I was just like, God, if this is where you keep me forever, I'll be content. Because I was just happy to have a place to stay, right? So then I started to look back over my life. And I had to get to the point and realize that all that I never thought would come, he did, you know. I'm a first person in my family, in my immediate family, to go to college. And at that time, I had already had my master's degree. We were in home ownership. I'm just like looking back. Yeah. And I'm like, God don't owe me nothing. Like, I just had to get to a point where I'm like who, like, really, who am I? Like, yes, this is Vicky. This is the little Haitian girl who at 7 years old went through, you know, like, I just started to look like who are you really to have accomplished what you have accomplished by grace? So because one thing didn't turn out the way that it did, now you look at God and you say, how dare you? And I was like, in Creole, it's called ingrat. I'm trying to think about how to translate that in English. It's like, how entitled of you to think that because you're a believer, you don't get to experience these things. And that, to me, to get to that level of understanding is by grace. And that was my turning point to say, you know, though the crops bear no fruit, yet I will praise you. And I had to stay there.
Yeah. For me, it was more so, you know, preaching to myself, and then just the community of men I had in my corner. I was, even though I would ignore people and they knew I was ignoring them, they would call. They would show up at the house. They would be present. There were men that would come and just sit there with me and not say nothing. And then just like what Vicky said, looking at how sovereign he's been in my life, you know, I got to a point where his no's were just as good as his yes. And when you get there, it's a great place to be. And I was talking to Vicky last night when we were talking, like, one thing that I can say in our marriage that I believe why God keeps blessing us is we consistently give. From tithe, from time, from money, from food. Like, and if that's one thing I could share for people to do, it's just give and be consistent at giving. And I think that was my turning point when I figured out, you know, his no's is just as good as his yes. And the men that surrounded and huddled me kind of nurtured me back to, you know, coming to Christ, coming to praying, because I didn't have the energy to do it. I was so upset. I was so angry. And if I couldn't have processed that stuff, I wasn't going to get back to Christ. That's what I truly believe.
That's awesome. Hey, what's up? We hope you are enjoying that episode. I want to encourage you to like, comment, share, subscribe. If you are listening to this on a podcast, I want to encourage you to leave a review.
Leave a review, yes, and we want to let you guys know that we're trying to build a community of middlers. So we have a Patreon page where you could interact with us on a more personal level. You can get exclusive content. So if you want to know more about our Patreon page, check out the description box below and click on that link. So enjoy the episode.
Peace. What are some challenges you face when trying to maintain closeness? I want to kind of frame this a little bit. Man, we're talking to couples, and the aim for us has been couples that are having serious challenges. You guys talked about one of the reframes I hear in your stories. You kept doing things together, whether that was studying or cooking or going through the hardship together and agreeing on what you were going to do and what you were not going to do. You were doing stuff together. I want you guys to encourage that man that says, I don't want to do nothing with her. I can't stand her. And that girl that says, that woman that says, I can't stand him. I don't know how much longer I can take this. How would you encourage someone to practice intimacy and closeness when they're there?
I think a good way to do that is to change it up. Stop doing what you've been doing. Sometimes we don't want to get out of our comfort zone to explore new things. And I think a thing that we used to do is I had questions that I never asked Vicky. And that was a gateway for me to, you know, get more in tune to her or to find out, you know, I know Vicky, who she is, what she is, but there's still some assumptions that I continue to make. And that's the wrong thing for me to do. So why not get clarification on that? So in those moments where I didn't feel like being with her or stuff like that, I would write down some questions and we'll put it in the box. And then we'll come together, get some food. And I was like, okay, let's answer some of these questions. And I got clarifications on things that, you know, maybe I was hesitant to ask her, or maybe, you know, my own insecurities. I didn't want to ask her that she answered. So I would just tell them, do something different. You know,
I remember, I don't know if you remember this, but years ago, this is why you always share your story. You just talk because you never know who it can affect. I remember when we were church planning and you were just gun-ho to like church plan. I think you and Kaisha had just gotten an argument and you turned around. I think it was a group full of people, like the launch team, and you were just like, I'm sorry. Because what we got to accomplish is more important than for me to be out of alignment with you. So you just like, let me apologize to you. Let's work it out and let's just keep pushing. That has stayed with me. So
I don't even remember that. Praise God.
That has stayed with me
publicly.
No, it wasn't a public argument. Okay. It was you saying that like we're trying to plant this church and the devil is going to attack, but what we're trying to accomplish is it's bigger, and I have to be cognizant of that and not let little things stop us from being in alignment with each other. And that's the context and how it came out. You were just kind of explaining that. Okay. And that has stayed with me in my marriage, to say that we don't have successful marriages, right? My dad told me this the other day. He was like, what I appreciate about you is that you're pursuing things that you've never seen practiced in front of you, right? So me and him is bigger. This is bigger than how I feel currently. Yeah. And it's not to negate my current feelings, but it's to say what we're trying to accomplish is bigger than us being out of alignment. So my pride has to take a step aside. Yeah. Like, okay, he may not want to deal with me right now, but I'm gonna schedule a boudoir shoot and you gonna have to fake something, right? Which is what we did after our grieving. We were kind of like trying to, and it was very awkward. It was very awkward. People think it was just like, okay, they talked and we got back together. No, it was like, you've grieved, I'm grieving, you're grieving. And so how do we get back to us being together? How does that work? Right. Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna schedule a boudoir shoot. And that was kind of like to break the ice. So we kind of talked about, okay, what's the theme? What are we going to do? How's this going to work? So we did that shoot. And then we tried something else, and you may not feel like it, but you need to do it. Yeah. And then when you do it, be present and then actually try, and it will come. It will come. Like you are in love with this person. It's just the current circumstances are not allowing that to shine through. So
let me actually follow up on that, because I think there's a step that you are instinctively taking that you may not be expressing. Here's what I mean by that. Like you said, I need to understand that this marriage is bigger than us, and what I got to do is put my pride aside so I can be with my husband. Some women are saying, I ain't putting no pride aside. Like, what makes you think about the mission of marriage? What makes you do what may not be as comfortable? What is the secret sauce? You are denying yourself all throughout this. Both of y'all are all throughout our talk today. What's causing you to deny yourself to serve the other person?
I think people gonna hate this word, but my role is to be submissive in marriage. So if somebody's gonna give in, by nature, I feel like it should be me. And because of the nature of my husband, he's going to come around. And I believe that he's going to come around. And I have to believe that. I think that I have hope. I have hope. I have hope that where we are today is not where we'll stay. And the difficulty in, I don't feel like doing this, is because where you are has become your absolute. It is, there's no getting out of this. I have hope, the God of yesterday, today, and forevermore, he's still alive. So there is hope that this will change. Yeah. And that's what I cling to. And I don't think that I'm an optimistic person, but that's what I cling to. Like this sucks right now, but it can't suck forever. And if it does suck forever, then God keep me.
Yeah. And you putting action to your faith, I think for both of you, what you were expressing is to do something else, but it comes down to that, doing something else. You have to make the choice to say, I'm going to do it, because you can desire something all day and just desire. So I want my marriage to be better. I want my marriage to be better. but you still curse him out when you mad, or you guys still don't take that opportunity that's in front of you to spend that quality time together. And I like how you said that it may not feel so natural initially, but just taking those steps and doing something else, and that's where you begin to see change. Slowly but surely you begin to see change. So I think essentially we have to make the choice to say, if this is what I want, at the end of the day, there comes a moment where I have to make a choice. And that doesn't always have to be a big major choice. Well, okay, fine, we'll move to this other state that you've been doing. Maybe it's something like, okay, you know what? I'm going to bring her a cup of tea because I know that she likes it at night. I'm going to do that. Do I feel like she deserves it? No.
Yeah. Right.
But I'm going to make the decision to actually do this. Or you know what? He's watching the game. I'm going to go over there and I'm going to sit down next to him. That's a small action that can encourage other small actions that begin to change the heart of the other person. And so I think that's beautiful. Making the decision at the end of the day, making the decision to say, I'm going to do something, and then do it. If you don't, then you'll never see change.
I think another thing too is just the unhealthy comparisons. A lot of times in marriage, you want to look at someone else's marriage. In a realistic, I'm supposed to be happy in my marriage. Yeah. I'm supposed to have this in my marriage. Like, marriage wasn't meant for you to be happiness, It's meant for you to be whole. Yeah. And that's an honest conversation that you have to have with your spouse, and that you should have before marriage. And I think that we did such a good job of really exploring that, before getting married, looking at our family history, looking at those problems.
You guys are pretty thorough.
Because it all intertwines.
Time to waste.
It all intertwines to who you want to be with for the rest of your life. So now you getting with this guy, or what I like to call him, you get with a bum, and he's doing something different, but he's been doing that. So now you look at this guy like, well, he not changing. Well, he been a bum.
He been that way. I'm not gonna call him a bum, but he been that way.
Call him a bum.
Call it like we see it.
So yeah.
Oh my God.
I think for me, the marriage is greater than the parts. I think we just have to get to that point. I think people are in their marriage and they're looking at themselves as individuals. Us together is better than me by myself.
That's good. Yeah.
And you by yourself got a lot of issues that you need to work on. Me by myself got a lot of issues that I need to work on. And just because I'm right now doesn't mean that I need to say something right now. Doesn't mean that I need to address it right now. Doesn't mean that this needs to change right now. I think that I have to get to the point where I'm like, we need to be good. And in us being good, I will get there.
Yeah.
I think that society has gotten us to instant gratification. Yeah. No, you tried me. I got to talk about this right now. Right now. Right now. We got to talk about it. We need to address this. We need to clear this up because you're not going to do this again.
You're not going to do this again. Yeah.
It's going to happen again.
Right.
And like, we need to work on that. And yes, it may be a trigger for you. Yes, it may be upsetting to you. Yes, it may make you cry. I'm not negating none of those things. But in time, 18, 20 years later, who that person will not be who you met with, who you initially married, because you gave them time.
Right. Yeah. Right. And that's encouraging for people to hear, because you guys said you put a lot of work up front, but there are a lot of people who just didn't, maybe the wedding day was the big thing, and that's where our time went, or you just didn't know. You didn't know better to, some people didn't have that example where they knew to do marriage counseling or to sit down and do something. But that concept of we're better together, the marriage, we're better together than as those individuals. You can do that now. You can explore now. You can ask those questions now. You can do that work now and learn so much about your spouse. It's not too late. It's just going to take some intentionality and some humility and some grace, and that you can go back and you can still do those things to learn one another and to break out of that place of being stagnant and taking steps away from your marriage.
That's good.
I think she said the S word. A lot of people don't like the S word of submission. But when you're submitting to somebody that's submitting under the Lord, that's different between submitting to somebody that's not submitting under anything.
That's good.
Yeah.
She's not saying that. She knows where my higher power is.
Yeah.
She knows that if I'm out of line, that she knows that she can go to somebody that can check me, another man to check me if she can't get it done. So she knows that I'm submitting under something.
Yeah.
Which is God. So I just wanted to talk about the submission when people get all, why she got to submit? Well, who he submitting to?
Submit to my head.
I've always seen submission as really between the woman and God.
Mm-hmm.
Like the man is a part of that, but it says you submit to your husbands as unto God.
Mm-hmm.
And so I see it more as your level of trust in the Lord, that me submitting to my husband is really me saying, God, I'm essentially I'm trusting you because I'm obeying you, and you have the ultimate results of this situation or of this marriage as a whole in your hands. And so me taking matters into my own hand because I don't want to submit is really a reflection of my trusting in God.
My thing too, and I feel like I say this to myself a lot, and I say this to other people who ask, but he chose you. He now unless you propose to your husband, that's different. But
we don't know.
We don't know.
It's so different
but
now.
he chose you out of all the other people that women outnumber men. Like statistically, they outnumber men. He could have, let's just be factual. He could have chosen somebody else. He chose you. He chose to go through that process with you, to walk down the aisle or wherever and marry you. He said, I do to you. He signed that paperwork with you. He chose you. And now you just think this man just don't care about you? Like he doesn't love you? Like I'm like, tell the enemy that he lying to his face. Like that's just not true. I think just like I had to sit back and look at who God has been to me, sit back and look at who your husband has been to you. And it's unfair. I think women get in these moods and they're like, oh, well, he does this and he's just like this and he's just like this. But take a look back at this man's actions. This man go to work, he come home, and he give you his money. I hope so. You know what I mean?
Hopefully.
He pay his bills. He's there for his children. He you know what I'm saying? He cares about your emotions. He asks you. I mean, I'm confused. Now all of a sudden he just don't like you. Now all of a sudden he's intentionally trying to hurt your feelings. Now all of a sudden he's just. It's not fair. Men don't get, I think, a chance to be human. So I can submit because I believe my husband cares about me. Yeah. And because he cares about me, we will get to a place that'll come where I can say, you know what, babe, I kind of don't like this. Or can we talk about this? Can we whatever? Because I truly believe that my husband loves me. And I think that when women allow that thought to be tainted, then how you view the person is tainted.
Yeah.
That's so good. That's so good, Vicky. Ashley, talk a little bit about that man that has a wife that may not submit to him and he doesn't feel respected, but yet he knows he should be loving his wife. What would you say to him? How would you encourage?
This is a perfect segue. I don't know if you want to talk about this or not. With the doctor. And
help us,
how
Lord.
Vicky is about to divorce me, y'all.
Help us, Lord. This is a very true story. Go ahead.
This is beautiful. So
beautiful.
It's beautiful. So I'm not really good at telling the full context. I still got pressure with the doctor, but this is a perfect example for the question.
You want me to tell the story?
You can tell a story, then I chime in.
Okay, so this is y'all getting our whole life. Okay. So really quickly, I'm pregnant with Caitlin. Caitlin is our baby who passed. And while pregnant with her, our OB calls me and tells me that Ashton gave me chlamydia. For reasons, chlamydia is an STD. So I'm like, is there any way that I could have gotten this? Because I work at a hospital. I had a needle stick the other day. I'm just thinking maybe, and this is true, like I had gotten stuck with the needle. I'm thinking maybe, and they were like, no, this is sexually transmitted. And I was like, so where did I get it? Just me being like, I'm in shock right now. And she was like, well, even good men cheat when, during pregnancy. And, it's just very hard. There's a lot of changes. And she just running down this list. And if y'all know me,
We know you.
I don't play it. I don't hold the phone. So I was like, okay, thank you, but I want to retest. And that was just where my mind ended. I want to retest just to confirm. I called Ashton. I said, have you slept with another man or woman?
I was hot. I was at work. Everybody got tickets.
I'm just being honest. You don't know these days. You got to ask.
Nobody go with
everybody
grace.
a ticket. No, it was no grace. Everybody got a ticket that day.
You got to ask these questions, okay? Because you just never know.
It's 2020 something.
Listen. So I asked, have you? And Ashton was like, what? I was like, because according to the doctor, there is lab evidence that this has occurred. And this is what I have. And Ashton was like, I'm not going to speak for you. So from there, I pick up my then 1-year-old. We go back down to the doctor's office. We take a retest. And there was no cute cuddlies or anything like that at this point. So Ashton comes home from work and I'll tell him, you need to go back out. So the reason why I had told him to go back out was because the doctor was like, okay, that's fine. Come take a retest, but you need to take your medication, right, to treat this. So I just told him, he came in literally, go back out, go get my meds. Long story short, I'm a nurse, right? So I know how long these tests take. My doctor's not calling me to give me the results. So I called and asked directly for the lab department. I didn't call for her. The lab department, I said, my name is so-and-so, gave them all of my identifiers, whatever. I want the results for this specific test. The test was negative. This was my retest. So then I was like, leave a message for the doctor. I need her to call me. So then the doctor calls me. She picks up the phone and the first thing she says is, I know. I'll never forget it because she was like, I know. She was like, this never happens. This is not never. She's like, this is so rare. This is so rare that this would happen. The chance of this happening, she gives me the statistic. False positives are just rare. She was like, you know what? We're going to run it again. The lab has so we sent it out again. The lab has the sample. They sent it out again. It comes back negative again. And I'm giving you a time warp here because, of course, you got to wait. We had to go take the test. The test had to process. Then they had to send it out for a retest. So during this whole time in our house, it's tense because I'm trying to figure. I'm pregnant. I got a 1-year-old, and I'm trying to figure out my escape. Okay, because. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to wait till the test come back positive for real, because you got to get demoted out the church. Okay? You ain't going to be sitting up in these people's church. And this how I was taking everything down.
You know, so sad about it. She had a whole plan.
I had a plan developed.
And I was waiting
for the second positive. Because I was like, I can't just pick up my baby and leave. See, people trying to leave don't got no plan. No, I got a plan. And I was like, this is the way it's going to work. But, thankfully I had to use the plan. But go ahead.
Yeah, that was a tough time to get back to your question, Rod. But from a mental standpoint, for men to get back to the point, they need to realize who they married in the first place. Vicky has done so much for me. And I can honestly say I wouldn't be the person I am today if it wasn't for her. From career, from being emotionally available, from her, pushing me to make connections. A lot of people don't know, but sometimes I just want to chill at the house. I ain't gonna hit your phone and stuff like that. And Vicky, that person call you need to go check up with them. Here go $100. Y'all go get some steaks. Y'all go get some.
We got the same account. I'm not giving him money.
but realizing who my wife is in that moment made it easier for me to approach her. In the midst of me being angry, in the midst of me being upset, this is the wife of my kids. This is the wife that'll take care of me. If I became, wheelchair bound, who's gonna wash me? Who's gonna provide for me? Who said he'll buy me a helicopter? This is the same person that I'm upset with. Right. So putting that in perspective when I'm mad, it makes it easier for me to go and talk to her and engage into a conversation. And then for that conversation, it took me a while to get there, and once I got there, I was able to start, hey, babe, can I do something for you? You want some food? And she wasn't talking to me still, but I'll bring the food home and put it on the table. Keep your
food for that person that gave you that STD.
I'll go get that watermelon soda and put it on the island, and I know she'll drink it. I got stuff that she liked. She needed her hair done. I'll go get the hair for her. She needed pads. I'll go get the pads. Whatever she need, I would do to kind of alleviate that space to make it easier for us to kind of talk. And once the tension got broke, once everything got done, we just pushed that towards the doctor, and then we figured that out. And then,
and just to give context, this is the child we lost. So that pregnancy was tumultuous. So when we say we were processing grief and depression, there was guilt on my part because I'm like,
medication.
I took the medication because the doctor told me this. Then that came out to be false. And then after that, this is the, so there was a lot of different moving pieces that we had to account for. And that was the first time that I feel like I've told people this. That was the first time I feel like I can honestly say the devil came for our marriage.
Yep.
And people, like, when they say you don't battle against each other, you battle against principalities and all this type of stuff. I thought that was like something in the Bible. That was the first time where I could say this was an outside force coming in, because there's so many what ifs. What if I didn't ask for the test? I mean, that test was reran like 3 times and it kept coming back negative. And this is an OB that I've been with. We're talking about over 30 some odd years of experience. We're talking about she delivered our first child. We loved her. She's perplexed. She doesn't know what happened. We're looking at each other. We're like, okay, we get through this hump, then we lose this kid. So it was like, like you having a Job experience. Like, what else God gonna take?
Yeah.
Like,
like
what
all
else?
of the after effects.
All the after effects just started to come up. And I think that that's what has helped us get into the mindset that what we got to be good. If they coming at us like this,
it's the saying. Go to Chick-fil-A, get in an argument. Hey, I can't argue with you. The devil out here working. Girl.
I'm out here working.
The devil out here working. Eat this sauce and be quiet.
Like that. I mean, I in hindsight, when you look at in hindsight, I wouldn't say that I'm grateful or thankful because I still lost a child in the process. But the barricade that we have now, you got to come up with a lot of receipts because clearly, don't get tempted. But clearly, we have to know that if we got something that the devil is willing to come at and attack like that, it needs to be protected. Yeah. Right? It needs to be protected. It needs to be cultivated. It needs to grow, and we need to stick behind it. And we got to trust what God is doing in our marriage. And that's why I always tell people, you fighting each other, you fighting the wrong person. You fighting the wrong person. And we don't always have time to pray together. And I know that's what you should do. The family that prays together stays together. We don't have all of that. But one thing I'm not going to do is fight my partner. And well, I'm going to get my little slicks in. Don't get me, y'all know me, but I have to recalibrate. I always got to go back and recalibrate and said, this is not him. This is not him. I'm not fighting him. Yeah. And that helps me to adjust strategy. Yeah. We got a lot of stories.
Yeah.
Got a lot of stories.
So good.
Beautiful.
So good. Man. Any closing thoughts as we wrap this up? You guys have been amazing. Thank you for sharing your life unfiltered. Give us some
y'all
good
getting it
content.
Raw. Okay, fresh out the kitchen.
The only thing I would say is, man, I was talking to a 70-year-old yesterday in counseling, and he's been married for 50 years. Wow. And the one thing he told me, which kind of brought me to tears driving home, I called Vic and told me, just treasure your wife. Above all things, the Lord is your Lord and Savior, but treasure your wife. And that has just been resounding in my heart and in my mind. So that's going to be my takeaway. And that's what I, hope to give to people, when the times are hard, times are rough, treasure your wife.
So my one piece of advice to the ladies would be, your service in your marriage is unto the Lord. It is not because your partner deserves it. And hear me what I'm trying to say is, what I do is unto Jesus, right? So because I have to go and stand in front of him and talk about what he expected of me, not what did Ashton do to deserve what I give to him. That's good. So I have no shame in saying that, I will go up to him after an argument, or I will apologize, or I will do that. I have no shame in it because that's what God is asking of me. And nobody is keeping me from heaven. Okay, this world has done a lot. I want to get in. So I'm like, this is what God has asked of me. This is what I'm going to do. So my service in my marriage is unto the Lord. I'm not submitting to Ashton. I'm submitting to Jesus. Ashton just happens to be the person that God has put as a figure. But my service is unto the Lord. And I have to say that because if I get up and cook and he, I'm like, I don't feel like it, I'm tired. Okay, this is my worship unto you, Lord. This is my worship unto you, Lord. And I just have to keep saying that, because if I were to look at my kids or my husband, they don't deserve it. Right. And I don't want to do it. But if my worship is unto you, Lord, you are always worthy. You are always deserving. Mm-hmm. You are more than deserving, So, and when I get up before you, as much as I can, I want to be blameless, even though I know that I can't be. I want to say that I tried, I gave it. And if, God forbid, whatever happens in the future, if it dissolves, whatever, I gave all of me to this. And I don't want to look back and say, well, I guess I could have done this. And I guess I could have done this. Well, I guess I could have done this. No, I left all of it on the court. I left all of it on the court, and I have no regrets. And when I look back, I gave my best. And if I'm not giving my best, then what am I doing? Yeah. So that's just my advice. It's not because they deserve it. They don't never deserve it. Okay. They never deserve it. I'm just saying, you carry all the kids, you get blown up, your body does all this crazy stuff. Yeah. They never deserve it.
Mommy brain.
They never deserve it. But it's unto the Lord. God is always worthy.
That's good. Ma'am, kind of a resounding theme as well. It's just you guys have poured your life into your marriage, and you're reaping because of it. Yeah. And I think there's so many people that invest so much time, energy, and effort outside of their marriage and wonder why they're not experiencing health. And so, no, that's good. Thank you guys so much. It's been a pleasure. It's been a joy. Thank you for sharing on our podcast. We want to encourage you again, like, subscribe, share this content, get the information out. So many couples need to hear what we shared today. So I want to encourage you to do that. And any last words, sweetie?
Yeah, that's it. Drop your comments if you have any comments, or if you have any questions for them. You can leave that in the comment section. Any way that they could reach you if they wanted to.
Hit me up on email, phone line, and hey.
Don't call no. I'm sorry.
We'll leave their IG info, their social media info in the comment section if you want to hit them up. All right, the horns, everybody.
Thank you, and thank you for allowing my children to interrupt with the noise.
Oh yeah, you had to get up at one point.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I had to get up at one point. But our producer edited that out at some point. So
well, the dog.
They're not editing it out.
I thought if I said it here.
So the dog. So we have kids upstairs. They're supposed to be keeping the door closed. The dog charged downstairs. Yeah. Vicky's scared of dogs.
Why you put her business out there like that?
She said it earlier. Well, if he's not going to edit, they're going to see how she jumped.
You keeping all of that?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
The dog came charging downstairs. He had to go physically carry the dog back upstairs, and try to settle some of the kids up there. So yeah,
part of being in
that's
our
real life.
We never have childcare. Woo! Life with the horns.
Awesome.
Or a dog. Woo.
All right, y'all. Y'all take care. See you when I see ya. Peace.